everybody. So I'm having a studio day today. Today is the beginning of my September studio vlog, so welcome. It is September 7th, I think, a Wednesday, and I have set aside 4 working days, so not weekend days, not after work, not sporadic, but 4 specific days this month to make work. And this is part of the Thrive Together Network's virtual residency that they're doing for the month of September. And I wanted to, even though I just had a residency in August, which you will have already seen if you watched my August studio vlog, the key, I think, for most artists is the consistency, especially if you have another job that you're working or multiple other jobs. So that 2 weeks I was able to produce quite a lot in that time, and so I want to consciously carve out time to make work. I have a lot of work that I'm trying to put together. One thing specifically, a show with Jen, who I'm collaborating with, which I've talked about before in my other studio vlogs, and then my larger body of work that I'm slowly working through. I'm now very close to finishing a second piece in that series, a series of potentially 20 pieces. So it's going to take me a very long time, but that's okay. I'm just slowly working through. But again, it's about consistency, about planning that time. You can see I'm in my home. I don't have a studio space outside of my home. Sometimes I rent the community building, as you've seen before. I've done many studio vlogs in that space, and sometimes I do a residency outside the home where I get a space, but this is the only consistent space I have. So it means setting up my studio in the morning. I got a lot of stuff out last night before, so that I didn't have to do it all this morning and cut into that making time. And then I set it all up, and I tape things on the wall, and I put things on the floor. I've probably already shown you, or I will be showing you, an overall look of how it looks in the room. So it makes the room very messy. It's my kids are at school and my husband is working upstairs, so I'm not really taking over the space on a weekend when they're all home, because that's just, it's okay. I can get out a small thing and work on it, maybe on the table area when they're home, but otherwise we just live in a small space, and it's very intrusive into their day if I'm taking up too much of the room of the communal areas. So so for me, I think this is key, is that I am taking a day of the week and I am carving out that time in that day, and I don't allow myself to do laundry or dishes or make appointments during this specific period. So we're talking about 9 to 2:45, 2:30, 9 to 2:30 basically. At 2:30, I will start tidying up, but I'm not going to take everything down. I'm going to go get my son from school, and we're going to go off and have our haircuts. So, you know, this is the way that I've compromised for myself to take this time, is that when my younger son is at school, for that time I am working, only working. I can eat, I can drink, I can, you know, but ultimately I can't distract myself with other tasks, even artist admin tasks, because artist admin tasks are tasks that I can do really easily after work or on the weekend, because that's not something that intrudes in everyone else's space. So that's what I'm trying to figure out for myself, is that I need to do those admin tasks on other days of the week and not on this day. This day here, this time is for work and making work and working only. Yeah, so this vlog will most likely show you all 4 days of September and what I get up to in them. I hopefully will have the 1970s project finished by the end of this month. That would be really great if I could get it done. So I will show you what's going on with that piece and with everything else, and I'll check in again later. Okay, so I wanted to talk you through 1970s girls. So this is where we are right now. We have quilting that has been going on in the middle part, so it's kind of trippy looking, I think, which probably is very apropos for 1970s aesthetics. But you can see that the initial white quilting I did is now being kind of further defined by the quilting that goes behind. So it makes it, I think in some cases it makes it harder to read. I thought it may make it easier to read, but I kind of like that because it makes it more like a puzzle, or like gives it more dimension, so you can see some of the words pretty easily. And I could put more lines to make it even easier to read and make this part even more colorful, but I don't necessarily think that that's going to add much to the overall aesthetic of it. And especially when you go into these pieces where, you know, it's already got embroidery on it. This was a piece, or this is needlepoint that my aunt did years ago. So, you know, I still want this to be legible. And so I think that, you know, adding too many more lines would just also get rid of a lot of the fun texture. So if you look at it from the side, you can see a lot of the really fun texture that comes from the dimpling of the quilting. So I would say I'm gonna get this one done, the quilting stage finished, maybe in another 5 days, so maximum a week, and then this piece is going to be ready to put the edges on and the label and the sleeve, and it'll be done. So I'm pretty happy with the progress on this one. It's actually came along quite quickly, and I'll show you the book page that goes with this one. So I had one embroidery / needlepoint that I had done in art school left. The other two are in the bigger piece, and so each of the larger pieces that I'm doing for this body work, I'm making a small book page for. So I used this last piece for the book page, putting some of the white fabric that I used, and then some of this flowered, very 1970s fabric on the bottom. And so this will be the page of the book that corresponds to that piece. And I'm gonna, you know, do similar embroidery. So the embroidery across this is gonna look very similar to the other piece that I just showed you.
I interviewed one of my favorite photographers, Joni Sternbach, who I looked up to for years, and just to have that opportunity was really amazing. And like, now we're Instagram friends, which is very special. And we have photos up in our apartment, and every once in a while I'll see one of her works up, like in a store, like out east or something. It feels so exciting. So that's how that's kind of gone. My freelance is kind of quiet right now, but I hope it picks up again soon.
Hey everyone. So I wanted to check in. This is the second week of September, or is it the third week? I'm not sure. It's September 15th today. So I guess halfway through the month. And I didn't check in with you yesterday. I didn't film a lot yesterday either when I was having my studio day. It was a rather mixed up day because the plumber was here, and I had some momentum in what I was doing, so I just tried to get through that. And I also was feeling pretty low energy. I think the adjustment for the family in fall is always a challenge, so just getting used to waking up earlier again to get the kids off to school, and kind of that, you know, adjusting to a new season as well as the days are getting shorter, always makes me feel rather tired and out of sorts. So that's the way I was feeling yesterday. I just wanted to check in with you about how things are going in general, because I realized I didn't really do a mid-year check-in regarding art stuff this year, and I think that was because of the pace of the summer for me. It was a really busy time, so I really didn't have a lot of time to sit and reflect on anything. I still don't have a ton of time to do that, but I am going to do it today. So the exhibition that I had in my hometown, which you will have seen a video about if you watch my studio vlogs, and if not, I can link that down below so you can have a look at it. Was very, very successful. I ended up selling 4 pieces, which is for me the best I've ever done in terms of sales at a show. And I'm very, very grateful for that. And I wanted to kind of, you know, mark that and show its significance for me. And my kind of work for the fall, because I did the artist residency, the physical one in another place in August, and now I'm doing the virtual one here in my home for September. I'm really working on just making work. That is my main goal right now, is to make work. I did apply for one opportunity, and I will be applying for one show. The show is not until January 2023, but the application process is now, so I will be applying for that. But overall, I'm not looking for a lot of application opportunities right now, because I want to focus my energy down into the making, because it's been something that I just haven't had as much time to do, and it's for me the most crucial part of what I'm doing right now. If I don't have new work, if I'm not making enough work, you know, it's a problem. So that's what I'm focusing on. I also this week though would like to get out my newsletter, which I have not put out in 2022. I have not put out one newsletter this year, which feels crazy because I was doing it regularly for the last 2 years, sometimes skipping a month here or there, but ultimately I was putting it out almost every month. And I'm trying to see, in terms of my administrative practice within my art practice, where I can streamline things and where I can put my energy and where it will best serve me. And so I am going to shift my newsletter to be something a little bit different than what I've done in the past. So for this year, I'm going to work on putting out my first one this week, and then I'm going to put one out at the end of the year. It's going to be about gratitude, and I'm going to go through each month and talk about one thing that I'm grateful for. And I'm thinking about how I can take my newsletter to a new place next year, somewhere where I just don't feel like sharing my day-to-day news in the newsletter, that I'm already really, you know, putting a lot of effort into sharing on social media, is necessarily the best use of the newsletter for me. So I may have a main section that's kind of a content section that is something that I want to give back to the people that are subscribing, and then a smaller section where if there is something coming up, like a show or an opportunity that I'm working in, that I will put that news there. But ultimately I want it to be something different from what it's been in the past. And so I'm just trying to figure that out now. And otherwise, otherwise that is pretty much what's happening in my art practice. I'm just making, and I'm trying to figure out how to take the content that I make and put it out there in a way that feels authentic to me. And it's interesting because that's always changing depending on what's going on in the world and depending on what's going on in my life as well. So that's the update for today. I'm very close to finishing the 1970s project piece, the quilting part. So I'm probably going to finish the quilting today, I would say, and then next week on my studio day, or potentially this weekend, because I probably will have time this weekend to work on it. I am going to square it up and get it ready to put the sides on and make the label. And that will be another piece in this new body of work finish. So 2 out of 20, which feels like a really daunting number, but at least I'm doing something. You gotta make number 2 before you can make number 20, right? I think that's it for now. I will be checking in again with you probably before the end of this vlog. Hello everyone. It is Thursday, September 22nd, and I am having my week 3 of my virtual residency studio day. I'm working on several different things today. I finished the quilting on 1970s Project quilt. I also finished the quilting on the book page for that piece, so that's really exciting to have them both done in terms of the quilting. And then I just have to do the edging and the label on the back of this one. I'm also working on the poet collaboration today. So it's been quite a month, and I woke up this morning with this feeling of preciousness, like that today I got to do this amazing thing in my, in my studio, in my living room, by myself for 5 hours, and I don't get that type of time very much right now in my life, and so it's just so delicious to have this time. And so I kind of wanted to just talk briefly about that. If you are an artist, if you are an artist who has other parts of their life that is pulling them away from making art, which everyone does, right? That's just, whether you're a mother or some other type of caregiver, whether you have a full-time job, whether you have, even if you are a full-time artist, I think that there are so many things that can distract you from making your work and that precious, precious time of making work. And that word keeps coming out for me, precious, 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 because I'm so grateful to have this time to do this work. And I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. I'm so grateful for the time, but I also hope that in your own practice, in your own life, you are being vigilant about that time, because unfortunately, everyone around you, not necessarily everyone, because I think if you're around a lot of other artists, they have a similar outlook, and they can understand where this idea comes from, this idea of being vigilant, this idea of keeping that preciousness to yourself. But our society makes us think that that's being selfish, right? So you're being selfish because you want time by yourself to make your work. It's selfish because you could be doing all these other things for all these other people. And some of them are wonderful, fun things. For example, one of my friends was like, let's do something for the autumn equinox. And I love her, and I really don't get to see her very much. And I would have loved to also have had time with her. But I made this commitment to myself for today. There was also something going on at my son's school that I could have participated in. The list goes on and on. I could be doing dozens of other things today that are all equally pleasurable, equally important, some of them not as important, but that are fulfilling things that I could have been doing. And when I made the commitment to these days at the beginning of September, I made a rule that I could not do anything else. So all I can do is make work. And I did allow myself to be able to film vlogs, my studio vlogs specifically. I'm not allowed to make book videos. I'm not allowed to edit. I'm not allowed to do admin work for my art. I'm not allowed to do anything else, only make work. And it has been really hard. This is my third day. It has been really hard to stick to that. And especially because I'm at home and I could be doing laundry and I could be, puttering around the house and doing other things at the same time. But really, it would just be distracting me from making my work. And so my point to you is on this is the preciousness of this is you have to be vigilant and you have to be strict with yourself and give yourself permission to say no to all the other things. And I know that's really, really hard. And, but it's worth it because this time your work is not going to get made by anyone else but you. Unless you're some big fancy artist with, workers in your studio. And if you are, then you're not watching this video. You have to make your own work. No one else makes it for you. You can't delegate that to someone else. So this time for making has to be precious and you must be vigilant. And as uncomfortable as that makes you feel when you're saying no to helping out in an activity at your kid's school, or when you're saying no to a friend who wants to hang out with you, who you don't see very often, you're the only person on this earth that understands how important this work is for you. You're the only person. No one else is going to really be able to know in your heart how important making this work is. And so you have to be your own best friend, your own advocate, your own support and ally, and tell everyone else that no, you cannot do that other thing today. Not today. And it's really hard, but it's really worth it. And you're worth it. And your work is worth it because your work wants to be seen by others and your work needs to be made by you and it fills up your heart. So that's all I wanted to say about that for now. And I'll check in again later. Hi everyone. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about the river piece because Carrie asked me a really great question about why I chose to do red rivers. And I answered it a little bit in the comment section, but I just wanted to reiterate it here in case it got missed somehow. So there's a few reasons. I use red and white quite a bit in my work. I would say, when I was doing my crow work, I was doing black and white, gray, red. So it's a palette that I have been using for a while. I like the contrast. And in the case of these pieces that I'm working on with my current body of work, that is the color palette that came to me. Black and white, red, mostly. And one of the main reasons is that I'm talking about identity, and there's many layers to identity, obviously, but the Canadian flag is red and white, so that really bright maple leaf red. And so as a settler Canadian, it made sense to me to use these colors in a lot of the pieces. The other reason I'm using red for this piece specifically is because of the history of colonialism itself. So the first river is the St. Lawrence River. This is the river that the first Europeans who were out looking for new lands came down when they discovered, I'm going to put that in quotes, Canada. And so obviously the history of colonialism is one that is filled with bloodshed, the blood of Indigenous peoples, the blood of a lot of different European peoples who were battling over the land itself. And so the red also references blood, and those are the two main factors in why I chose red. I also feel a real connection to that color, that bright red. I think it also resonates with, not just blood, but also your heart, and your internal organs being different shades of red. So those are kind of the layers for me of where the colors come from. Each of these rivers is a different shade of red, and that was kind of just to give them a bit of a contrast from each other, make the composition a bit more interesting to look at, but also show that they are different rivers. I didn't want it to appear that this was just one river with 3 tributaries, but rather that they were 3 rivers distinct, being depicted together, and the 3 of them represent different parts of who I am. So the first one, the St. Francis, is the river that I grew up beside and crossed every day twice on my way to school. The St. Lawrence River is the river that brought my family here when they immigrated to Canada. And the Fraser River is the river that I now live near. So it is the river that represents who I am today, where I live today, where I have come to settle, and where I consider myself to be a transplant to, because I did not grow up here. So that is the meaning behind the red. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that for now. Thanks for the question, Carrie. As always, you ask such great questions. Good morning, friends. Today is Wednesday, September 28th. And it's my last official residency day. Sorry, I can't talk very well this morning. So you've been seeing little snippets of the last month. And I've been really pleased with my progress and being able to carve out the time in usually a really busy month, but it seems this year that the busyness of September has actually shifted into October for me. So I won't be specifically designating as many days in October to making art as I did in September, but very exciting. I am going to be going to my community hall studio space with my neighbor on Sunday, so that'll be the beginning of my October studio vlog. So that's good. That's good to have one day down that I know I'm going to be in the studio for October. So what I'm working on today, I am finishing up 1970s Girl. It's done. I just have to put the sleeve and the label on the back. So that is really exciting to me. I haven't finished a lot of pieces this year, so being able to say that I've got another one finished is a really nice feeling. And then I'm going to be doing the next panel and page for my poem project. So the pages are in this format, and what I'm going to do today is piece a page. So I very intuitively pick out fabric and sew it together to reach about this size. And I'm also going to do a panel today. And I've got two sizes of panels, a long one and then a shorter. So I kind of do one long and then two shorts. So this is the one I did 2 weeks ago, I guess I sewed the panels. And so this one, I'm going to make another one this size today. To do the long ones is actually, it takes a really long time. So I want to try to get two small ones done. And then my next panel for the poetry quilt will be one of the long ones. So right now I'm waiting on a poem as well. So I'm hitting number 6 and I'm waiting to get number 7 from Jen. And so I'll probably be emailing her this week and giving her a little update on what I'm doing, and then probably schedule a meetup in October with her. And then once she sends me her next poem, I'll send her my next one. I'm actually waiting on some books. I put some books on hold at the library, some poetry books, which I'm going to look through. I went through all my poetry books here, and none of the poems that really spoke to me in terms of what I'm looking for this project. So put 3 poetry books on hold at the library, and I have one poetry book that I've pre-ordered, which is the Rivers poems from the Everyman's Pocket Library series, which I'm collecting. So I'm very excited to get that one because I'm including, not every poem that I'm choosing has the word river in it, but the river theme is carrying through this poetry. So I'm excited that it's going to be a book of just poems about rivers, because it's probably going to help me to get. So I have 3 more poems to find because we're doing 12 poems in total, 6 poems each. So I'm sure out of these 3 books from the library and this book that I put on hold, that I will be able to find 3 more poems that really speak to me. And yeah, so I think that's all that I have to update you on today. The weather is really holding this month, which was interesting because last year September just turned rainy and got cold instantly, and this year the warmer weather is lasting. Even this weekend, which is the first weekend of October, we're supposed to have sunny, warm days. So I'm trying to lean into that and just keep the summer vibes going as best I can. And yeah, I will probably check in again at the end of today to close off this vlog. See you then. Hey everyone. So 1970s Girl is finished. Here is the finished piece. I'm going to go a little closer so you can see the way the words stitched in white play with the quilting in color. I am hoping that the contrast between the kind of cream color of the needle points goes well with the white, the brighter white. I used the brighter white to try to tie it into the white that's going to be used in the other pieces, and so I hope that it works as a complementary piece to this other work. I have no idea. I'm just at this stage. I'm still just making the pieces, completing the pieces, and then as time goes on, there's the label. As time goes on, we shall see how they all play out and how they all show together. But yeah, one more piece completed, which feels like a really great way to end the vlog. So I'm going to end the studio vlog for September 2022 here, and I will be back again soon with another video. Thank you so much for watching.